Tonight on CBC Vancouver News. Too dangerous to drive. The company involved in a deadly Okanagan bus crash suspends all services. Also, from flooding to freezing rain, dangerous weather conditions continue to plague much of this province. And
the deals here are pretty good.
I feel pretty good. I just got a new phone.
Boxing Day shoppers hit the streets in search of a hot deal.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Anita is away tonight. I'm Michelle Ghoussoub. We begin tonight with the tragedy out of Kelowna. The shock is still raw after a deadly bus crash on Christmas Eve. 7 people remain in hospital. None have life-threatening injuries. Lindsay Duncombe has our top story tonight.
We're getting a sense of just how chaotic the scene of that deadly bus crash was. This image posted online appears to show the bus on its side in the snow, people waiting for help in the cold. And RCMP continue to investigate the cause of the crash, although the initial sense is that extremely icy conditions are to blame. The bus was traveling west from Kelowna to Vancouver when it went off the road and rolled on its side in the eastbound lane. No one from the province was available to answer questions today about why that section of road remained open when others were closed. 7 people remain in hospital. None have life-threatening injuries. And police tell us they have been unable to contact all the survivors. Some didn't buy tickets in advance, so names were difficult to track down. And some people were discharged from hospital and just made their way home without speaking to investigators. Police do know there were international travelers on the bus. Police and the bus company are now trying to get them their luggage before they return to their home countries. That stretch of road has now reopened. Although the bus company stopped services after the crash, they are expected to resume tomorrow. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Vancouver.
Well, after the big storm comes the big melt. Flood watches and high stream flow advisories are in effect for Vancouver Island and the South Coast. And as Beneat Breach reports, there's potential that after a major freeze in parts of this province, there could be flooding.
This river is roaring louder than usual.
I have not seen the river up like this before. It is quite catastrophic right now.
And as the snow melts, rivers like this one are seeing higher water levels.
Anywhere where you have a sloping terrain and a flat lowland, obviously water goes down to the lowland.
The province says these areas are currently under flood watch. Howe Sound, the North Shore Mountains, Metro Vancouver, and the Fraser Valley, including Sumas River. And with all the snowmelt and more rain, the province says low-lying areas are at risk of flooding.
In the wintertime, when you have snow cover, particularly in the higher elevation, and then one of these Pacific storms comes with warm water, so that rain hits the snow and then freezes right at the surface, which means the water from the rain will run off over the surface.
Across the border in Washington, there's also a flood watch. The BC government says there's a small risk of overbank flooding on the Nooksack River and a small chance of minor overflows into BC.
One of the things we're watching right now is the Nooksack River is already high. It will not drop down below to pre-flood level or pre-normal levels, and the new weather system is coming in on top of that.
Residents like Randy Small on the other side of the border are keeping a close eye on updates.
I'm not too concerned for this at this point. What is more concerning perhaps to me would be what's coming, combined with the fact that Mount Baker just had a bunch of rain at the ski area. And so with that snow melt combined with some more rain coming today and tomorrow, that we're going to have to see how the flood gauge looks in like 12 hours.
And with more rain on the way, the province is urging people to stay away from fast-flowing rivers and unstable riverbanks during high streams. Beneat Breach, CBC News, Vancouver.
And in yet another weather warning, king tides made an appearance on the south coast today. You're looking at very high water levels in Surrey, with roads flooding near Crescent Beach. There were also warnings about potential flooding in Delta. King tides are common on this coast in December and January, but combined with strong winds, they can be dangerous. Water levels will be highest tomorrow at 9 a.m. when a king tide combines with a storm surge of ocean water. There could be flooding in the Fraser River, English Bay, False Creek, and Burrard Inlet. As a precautionary measure, the Stanley Park seawall will be closed tomorrow from the Lionsgate Bridge to English Bay and in front of Kitts Pool. The public is being asked to be cautious and stay away from any closed areas. Thousands of British Columbians are still without power following last week's heavy snowfall. BC Hydro has reported that over 2,000 customers are affected and is working to restore power to the affected areas in the Lower Mainland and on Vancouver Island. At least 10,000 people on Vancouver Island were without power this morning after strong winds caused trees to fall onto power lines.
Winds north part of the island all the way down. If you're on the east side of the island, you experience some pretty strong winds. So we're down to just around 3,000 customers right now, and we believe we're going to get everybody up tonight.
The storm brought some areas winds up to 90 kilometers an hour. Environment Canada says another system is on the way tonight through southern Vancouver Island, causing winds to pick up again. And as temperatures rise, last week's snow is melting and leaving some areas under a flood watch. The province is maintaining its flood watch for most of the island. North Vancouver Island remains in a high stream flow advisory. And to Whistler now, where this last snowfall has left roads in slippery condition. You can see icy roads and thick sheets of ice are causing pooling in some areas. Some drivers are running into gas stations that haven't received any deliveries. And due to road closures, one station in Creekside is out. It appears there may be no break in sight yet. According to Environment Canada, more snow and rain are in the forecast for Whistler. And our Kuljeet Kaila joins us now for a look at the forecast. Kuljeet, looking at those images out of Whistler, I drove through there yesterday and it was still incredibly icy on the 99 and the Sea to Sky. What does the week ahead look like?
Well, the week ahead is still bringing temperatures that are dropping, and that's what's happened in the past few days. The temperature drop has been quite significant. All of a sudden, we went from wearing full winter coats to almost spring-like clothing today. So it's gotten warmer, flooding. There's a lot of temperatures that are dropping across not just the Lower Mainland, but parts of BC as well. We do have a couple of warnings in effect. We've been talking about the high tide coming in, the king tide, and the flood alert that is in place for the Sunshine Coast and East Vancouver Island. That's for tomorrow morning. We still also have a winter storm warning for West Kootenay and parts of Williams Lake. Up to 15 centimeters of snow could be on the way in the next 24 hours. Now, temperatures very mild for the Lower Mainland, 9 degrees at the airport, 6 degrees in Abbotsford. And this is, just a few days after sitting in the minuses for a few days. The average high for this time of year is only around 6 degrees. We hit 11, some records for highs and lows from back in the 80s and 90s. Tomorrow, rain comes up to 35 millimeters of rain. But by the weekend and by New Year's Eve, it will be dry, and I'll have those details coming up.
All right, thank you, Kuljeet, and we will check in with you a little later. Residents of a Kelowna apartment building were evacuated early this morning after a gas leak. It's since been deemed safe to return for some residents, and there's no risk to the surrounding area. Mounties in Westbank confirmed the leak happened at the building located on the 2400 block of Gossett Road. Police, fire crews, and emergency services were on the scene to help with the evacuation. The cause of the leak is unknown. Today's warmer weather came as a welcome surprise to Boxing Day shoppers who opted to shop in-store instead of online. We caught up with some of those shoppers on the hunt for that coveted post-Christmas deal.
We've been having terrific success this year in the holiday season. I would say that it's been just as busy as all those years. We're seeing a lot of customers coming in, and it's just a little bit spread out because we've been hosting those sales for such a long period of time. We had about 25 people lined up this morning, super excited about coming in for Boxing Day.
It's nice because there's no one here. But it's definitely a lot slower than I expected it to be. I think we knew what we were expecting. Everything's online now. So we just sort of came to get it, didn't want to wait for shipping. I think it's sort of same as everyone else.
I got a speaker system for my house and pretty good deals, you know. Not a lot of things are kind of on sale, but usually it's a lot more people here. I come like every year, so, but it's very quiet today. I think the snow scared some people away.
For some, the day after Christmas also marks the time to take down those decorations, especially if your tree isn't looking quite as fresh as it was earlier in the month. But a Merritt woman is trying to change that by getting healthier trees on the market. Leslie Lucy was disappointed with her droopy store-bought Christmas tree in 2020, so she decided to start growing her own in Merritt last year, planting a total of 500 seedlings. While not all of them survived, Lucy anticipates that the remaining trees will be ready for ornaments in 3 or 4 years. And the holidays aren't over yet. Today marks the first day of Kwanzaa. The celebration is observed by African American and African diaspora communities to mark values of family, culture, and community. It ends on January 1st with a feast called Karamu. The name Kwanzaa comes from a Swahili phrase meaning first fruits. The death toll rises after a blizzard in New York State as people are found dead in their vehicles. More on that story after the break. Thanks for watching our commercial-free live stream. If you're still in the mood to watch holiday movies, you might spot a budding PEI actor. 10-year-old Morgan Saunders recently landed a role in the Hallmark movie 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, and our Laura Meter caught up with her to talk about that experience.
It's just a typical day for 10-year-old Morgan Saunders. She's at a sound studio to do some voice work on her latest role for a Hallmark Christmas movie called 'Twas the Night Before Christmas.
Oh, that purple one's so pretty. Because it was the first big thing I've ever booked. It's fun because it's set is so unpredictable. Everything's going on. Every day's different. It's so unpredictable that it's predictable, and you need to use your head a lot. Do you have your toothbrush?
Check.
Do you have your lucky?
She plays the role of Josie. The movie features lead actors Tori DeVito and Zane Holtz. Saunders says it was fun to get a taste of life on a big movie set.
You had to makeup, hair, wardrobe. Then after a couple takes, they changed the camera angle about 10 times. The 2 fingers in here and then you.
Back at home, she has some souvenirs. She used this puppet in a few scenes. Her acting coach describes her as a hard-working professional and says she's catching the attention of directors and beating out many people for roles.
Dad, don't eat it. It's a Christmas ornament.
Oh.
And Morgan came to us with so much raw, natural talent. I remember the first time that I worked with her, I was like, who is this girl? Who's this girl?
The pandemic has helped her career. Online auditions are now the norm, making it possible for a PEI girl to be considered.
Sometimes they are live Zoom with the casting director and the producer. A lot of times the first round, they just want to see you tape it yourself and send it in. And then when you make the next round, you do a Zoom.
I don't even know you. What do you mean? You're crazy.
It's she likes to learn and challenge herself. So I think acting something that is new, auditions are different every time, scenes are different, the emotions, you have to put so many things together to create a good scene, and she just can put herself in her character's shoes.
Morgan likes life at home too, from playing chess with her older brother to hanging out with her dog Maple, who she misses a lot while she's away filming. She likes regular life and movie life, and dreams of getting an acting award someday.
Kind of like walk on a red carpet or something, or win like an award or something.
Morgan also recently shot a commercial in Toronto and worked on a movie in Nova Scotia. She hopes to get some other roles soon, too. Laura Meter, CBC News, Charlottetown.
The struggle continues after the storm that created havoc last week. Work is ongoing to restore power in Ontario and Quebec, but more snow could still hit some Ontario towns. As Lisa Zing reports, transportation by any means is a nightmare.
A quick scan of the departures terminal, and it's not hard to find fed-up passengers.
You know, it's not just me alone. There's a child, my wife is traveling with us. You know, it's frustrating, especially for a child.
Flights have been delayed, then cancelled, delayed and cancelled again. This minor hockey team was afraid they'd miss a major tournament in Calgary before finally getting a last-minute flight.
It's tough. I mean, it's something that these guys have looked forward to. It's an invite-only tournament, so we were fortunate enough we're the only Ontario team going.
The backlog after several days of severe winter weather has also marooned hundreds of Canadians abroad, including Rob McClinton and his family, without a flight for 6 days in Punta Cana, now rationing their infant daughter's formula.
So we can't really drive into a store and buy formula because we don't have that time or that ability, because we're always waiting if we're getting picked up and jump on a flight that day.
Same for hundreds of Canadians in Cancun after Sunwing canceled flights. The company says it's trying its best to arrange hotels and transfers.
While air travelers are stranded here at Pearson, many hoping to travel by train are also stuck. There's still no Via service between Toronto and Ottawa or Toronto and Montreal after a CN train derailed on Christmas Eve.
After some riders reported being stranded for more than 18 hours, Via Rail says those trains will be up and running on a modified schedule on Tuesday. Even local travel is still a slog for the town of Fort Erie, Ontario, hit with massive power outages and whiteout conditions.
It's quite startling, the number of abandoned vehicles on the roads. Some of them near intersections, in the middle of intersections, some blocking parts of roads.
The mayor says cleanup will take several days, but worries about the next big dump of snow. Lisa Shing, CBC News, Toronto.
South of the border, at least 27 people have now died in the blizzard that's pummeled western New York. The death toll jumped after workers digging out vehicles found bodies inside. As John Paul Tasker tells us, the crisis is far from over.
This was the scene near Josh Thayer's home in Williamsville, New York. More than 100 centimeters of snow. The roads completely impassable. It wasn't just an inconvenience. Thayer's fiancée Lexi is a heart transplant recipient. With her medication running low, she had to get out.
I can't even begin to imagine what it's like to have a heart transplant and really be dependent on the medicine.
Lexi got what she needed this morning, but the anxiety.
She handles things well usually, but the past couple days have been really, really stressful.
The number of people dead in western New York is climbing. Workers have begun the daunting task of digging out. Buffalo is used to snow, a lot of it, but this wintry blast was different.
We can handle heavy snow. The problem was the winds. We had hurricane-force winds over a Category 1 hurricane.
There's still a travel ban in place because even some rescuers have been stranded, but not the firefighters at the Buffalo airport. That was lucky for the Tinsdale family. Out driving on Christmas Eve with 4 kids in tow, the conditions turned grim.
I can just describe it as it was like looking at a white piece of construction paper. You couldn't see anything at all, like absolutely nothing.
After a harrowing rescue, the family spent Christmas at the fire hall. New York Governor Kathy Hochul has deployed the National Guard, 400 troops so far. They're on a search and rescue mission, trying to find motorists who are still buried under a wall of snow.
So anyone who declares victory and says it's over, it is way too early to say this is at its completion.
President Joe Biden is following the devastation from the White House. He's promising to marshal the full force of the federal government to help. The region will need it. More snow is coming tonight. JP Tasker, CBC News, Washington.
The puck dropped tonight at the World Juniors Hockey Tournament being held in Halifax and Moncton. As Karen Pauls reports, it's all happening under the cloud of the Hockey Canada scandal.
Excitement is high for the first World Juniors Tournament in the Maritimes in 2 decades.
These two always bring out the best in each other.
Fans getting their first glimpse of Team Canada during exhibition games and practices.
Canada once again goes in as the heavy favorite.
This analyst says Team Canada looks strong, especially with Russia and Belarus banned from the tournament. But
U.S. tends to now send heavyweight team after heavyweight team. Sweden should be really good. Finland will be really good as well.
What's also good, an economic boost at a traditionally slow time of the year, an estimated $50 million for the region.
We know that people will be in the establishments in the downtown, and we want to make sure that those businesses see a lift, a positive lift from the championships taking place in Halifax and Moncton.
But most major sponsors pulled their support after it was revealed that Hockey Canada settled sexual assault claims using money generated from registration fees. Police have since reopened investigations into at least 2 separate alleged group sexual assaults involving former Team Canada junior hockey players between 2003 to 2018. One of the assaults alleged to have taken place in Halifax in 2003 after Team Canada took home silver.
I just want there to be no misunderstanding. There is no excuse and there is no exception when it comes to inappropriate behavior towards women. And that is really the message I hope that they hear.
Experts say Hockey Canada will try to use this event to rebuild its image in Canada and internationally.
I think that they want to send a signal that the worst of the scandal is behind them.
After 2 years of COVID interruptions and disruptions, fans and organizers are hoping for some great hockey, but also an event that goes off without any controversy. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Toronto.
After a winter already marked by escalating tensions, South Korea scrambled together jets and helicopters to intercept a rare threat: North Korean drones. Attack helicopters tried to intercept 5 drones in South Korea's airspace, the first such incursion since 2017. At least 1 drone made it back to the north. This latest move comes in a year North Korea conducted a record number of missile tests. Coming up, a story that ends happily. How the kindness of strangers led to a young child reuniting with his lost friend. That's next. And a live look at Whistler's Olympic Plaza, Kuljeet's full forecast after the break.
This has probably been one of the quietest Saturdays in downtown Vancouver so far this year. But if you did have any money left after Christmas shopping, there were still lots of ways to spend it. Harry Hammer opened his furniture warehouse to defy holiday shopping laws in Vancouver, along with a few other stores.
Well, we feel the public, and judging from the response from the public, that the store could be open, should be open on a holiday. And people are definitely coming in and buying product. Seems to be a convenient time for them to do that.
You're not worried that the city might charge you or fine you?
No, we're not. I don't think so. There seems to be quite a few other stores open in the Vancouver area. I know that outlying areas are open as well.
In Richmond, the holiday shopping bylaw passed during the recent municipal election. But there's still a legal question unanswered about whether Boxing Day is one of about 6 days a year, like Christmas, where stores are not allowed to open under provincial law. There too, the stores took their chances, and the volume of customers indicates the public attitude.
We're just the two of us type of thing, and
they are all open on Boxing Day.
They're all open on Boxing Day. It's sort of a thing with us. We like to go out on Boxing Day and go shopping.
The staff who had to work today don't seem to mind, and some are actually enthusiastic about the whole thing.
Oh, it was a little bit depressing when I first got up this morning, but when I saw all the people come in when we opened the door, it was quite nice.
Why do you think people want to shop on Boxing Day?
Oh, it's the day after Christmas. It gives them something to do instead of sitting around the house. You know, got some time to kill.
Are the deals good today?
Oh, very much so. You know, it's going quite well too. People are buying. That's what's important.
Were they before Christmas?
Yes, they were, but it was spotty. They were looking for good quality, but also good prices. And they weren't buying the first time in the store. They were coming back second, third, fourth time, and then they were buying.
Vancouver police said they would only lay charges if they received a complaint. Many stores opened in violation of holiday shopping rules, but only one complaint was received. Crown Counsel will now look into it and decide if a charge is to be laid. Sharon Bonas, CBC News, Vancouver.
Now, given this cold weather, the last thing people ought to think about is going for a swim. But in Prague, it's a holiday tradition. This one was in Prague. Swimmers competed in races of 100, 300, and 750 meters. The water was an invigorating 5 degrees, which likely made the push to the finish line that much more intense. The Boxing Day races are an annual event in Prague held in honor of a city goldsmith who popularized winter swimming a century ago. And Kuljeet Kaila joins us once again. Kuljeet, final week of 2022. What does this week and New Year's Eve weekend have in store for us?
Well, it starts off with rain, but for people wanting to swim in the cold water for the polar bear swim, I think the conditions might be very favorable. I totally encourage people to do that because I'm a spectator of one of those events. So that will be happening hopefully on New Year's Day morning. Until then, rain starts. It starts tonight at 9 o'clock. Heavy rain overnight into Tuesday. We're expecting quite a bit of it. Your morning commute, if you are working tomorrow, could be quite wet as well. And then we're going to see up to 40 to 60 millimeters of rain in low-lying areas. And then higher elevations, we're going to see more. So the Tri-Cities, the North Shore might get more like 80 to 100 millimeters of rain, according to that map. Above seasonal temperatures, I was talking about this before, we've seen a drastic change in temperatures across BC over the last few days. It's 11 degrees today in Vancouver as the high, 10 in Abbotsford. This is sitting about 5 to 10 degrees above seasonal normal temperatures, so it's quite warm, which is leading to all of this extra flooding. We will see some snow in Prince George and Williams Lake tomorrow. 0 for Williams Lake. We do have snow coming for the West Kootenay region as well, but for us, rain starting tomorrow all the way through till Friday, and then sunshine this weekend, and New Year's Day will be not so bad. Perfect swimming conditions, I'd like to say. Michelle?
Okay, I'll be a spectator along with you. I'm not getting in.
I'll meet you at my place.
Perfect. And we have an update for you now about a stuffed bunny that was lost at YVR last week and is being reunited with its family. Canadian Senator Paula Simons shared this photo of the stuffed bunny on Twitter after receiving the picture from her daughter who found the toy. The post took off online and received a reply saying, "That's our son's Bun Bun." YVR is now in the process of reuniting them.
Normally you bring something to a lost and found and you have no idea what's going to happen to it after that. I wasn't expecting that I would ever see or hear from this bunny again. So I'm so delighted to have been able to follow the whole saga to its conclusion.
The Vancouver Airport Authority tells the CBC in a statement it was delighted to reunite this family with their beloved bunny and thanked everyone who helped make the connection to get the family to get Bun Bun back home. And that is your news for this Boxing Day Monday. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'll be back with your local news tomorrow. And for now, we will leave you with some shots of people enjoying the calm after the Christmas storm in English Bay. Good night.